Like, I don't think you guys get it. This is insane. This is unprecedented. This fundamentally shatters Moore's law to smithereens and is ushering a new era of computing. And in this video, we're gonna be going over not one, but the two new chips that Apple just released. The M1 Pro and the M1 Max. And how these chips are going to change the game, especially for creatives. New MacBook, new MacBook. What's going on, my little SOCs? My name is Matt and welcome back to Viva Media. Apple just had their October event, and besides AirPods and HomePod minis, they dropped not one, but two new M1 chips on us. The M1 Pro and the M1 Max. Let's go over the specs and then talk about how these chips are going to increase your workflow tenfold. First up, M1 Pro, up to 10 core CPU and up to a 16 core GPU with up to 32 gigabytes of unified memory. That means up to 200 gigabytes per second of bandwidth. The M1 Max, also up to a 10 core CPU, but with a 32 core GPU and 64 gigabytes of unified memory with 400 gigabytes of bandwidth. I didn't know bands needed to be that width. And not only are we getting all of this power, but Apple is claiming these chips will use considerably less operating power than its competitors while still delivering equivalent performance. Now, what does this performance mean for creatives and video production? Well, back in June, we did a video comparing our 13-inch M1 Mac Pro against a previous gen Intel-based MacBook Pro. The M1 did a render in literal seconds, while the Intel-based Mac took over 10 minutes. But we knew our 13-inch wasn't the end-all be-all because our custom-built Windows PCs with Ryzen 3900Xs and NVIDIA 3080s were still leaps and bounds more powerful than the 13-inch MacBook Pro. But now, with these new chips from Apple, our custom-built PCs now look like calculators in comparison. Not to mention, the power is in a form factor as thick as an iPad, and it's portable. Think of the applications. Imagine being able to literally edit and export a feature-length film with VFX and 3D work on a freaking laptop without skipping a beat. Imagine being able to edit multiple streams of 4K to 8K footage in real time on a machine that barely uses active cooling. Now, of course, we'll have to wait to get it in our hands and do some comparisons with our current M1 Mac and our in-house PCs. But fret not, because we just put in an order for the 14-inch MacBook Pro with the M1 Pro chip. That's a 10-core CPU and 16-core GPU with 32 gigabytes of unified RAM. As soon as we get that puppy in our hands, we're gonna be ready to do some real-world comparisons with 4, 8, and even 12K footage. Is there anything specific that you want us to test? Let us know in the comment section down below. As always, thank you for watching. My name is Matt, we are Viva Media, and we'll catch you in the next video. I'm gonna go collect all the PCs that we have in here that we spent thousands and thousands of dollars on and bring them to the dump. Thanks, Apple.